Today we are in the epicenter of a real fire nightmare. On April 1st, in Putra Heights, Malaysia, not far from Kuala Lumpur, a gas pipeline exploded, creating a giant mushroom cloud and a column of fire as tall as a skyscraper. Tuesday morning in Putra Heights began with horror. At 8 o'clock, 10 minutes local time, the Petronas gas pipeline exploded so hard that the earth shook. Eyewitnesses filmed a column of fire rising above residential areas, more than 30 meters high, and the temperature of the fire in some places exceeded 1,000 degrees. It was not just a fire, it was a mushroom explosion, leaving a crater 10 meters deep right in the middle of the city. The flames engulfed everything around. 190 houses were damaged, almost 150 cars were turned into scrap metal. Burning pieces fell from the sky, windows cracked, and residents fled their homes in panic. More than 300 people suffered, burns, breathing problems, injuries. Rescuers worked like heroes, pulling people out from under the rubble, and firefighters fought the fire for 8 hours to stop this hell. The gas pipeline runs right next to residential areas, and this played a fatal role. 3 neighboring gas stations miraculously survived, but they were closed just in case. The authorities evacuated hundreds of people, and Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has already promised the government and Petronas will restore everything that was destroyed. But for now, the residents of Putra Heights are in shock. Their houses are in ruins, and their lives have been turned upside down. Malaysia has faced accidents many times, but this fire is one of the largest. Experts say a gas leak was the trigger, and now everyone is wondering, how could this happen? And now we are diving into a real chase on the water. In the Atlantic Ocean, authorities intercepted a drug cartel submarine filled with almost 7 tons of cocaine. This is not just a boat, it's a floating warehouse of drugs worth more than $200 million. Watch. In the middle of the Atlantic, Portuguese police and DEA agents tracked down this semi-submersible submarine, the so-called Narco-Sub. It glided almost unnoticed just below the surface, so that radar could not detect it. And inside, thousands of orange bags of cocaine, 7 tons of pure cargo. That's more than an adult elephant weighs, and enough to fill an entire truck. The operation was like something out of a movie. Portuguese boats surrounded the submarine, special forces stormed on board, and 4 smugglers did not even have time to escape. Their faces are blurred in the video, but one thing is clear, they knew what they were carrying. This thing was heading from Latin America to Europe, and if it had not been stopped, the streets would have been filled with millions of doses. Narco submarines are nothing new, but they are becoming increasingly difficult to catch. They do not dive deep like military submarines, but hide under the waves, fooling radars and satellites. This year, they have already been caught off Colombia and Mexico, but in the Atlantic, this is a rare catch. Experts say the cartels are perfecting their toys, and this submarine is proof of their impudence and skill. After the interception, the cargo was pulled ashore. Almost 7 tons of cocaine are now in the hands of the authorities, not the cartels. A blow to the drug business? Huge. This is not only millions of dollars lost, but also tons of poison that will not reach the streets. 4 suspects are awaiting trial. And the police are already looking for where this submarine took off from. This is how the Atlantic Ocean has become an arena for a battle with the cartels. The Santo André train station in Sao Paulo, Brazil, is underwater due to severe flooding. These aren't just puddles. This is a real force of nature that has paralyzed the city. Subscribe if you're ready for some wet adventures, and let's go. Watch. Sunday, late March, and Santo André, 20 kilometers from the center of Sao Paulo, has turned into a swimming pool. The downpour hit the city with such force that the CPTM station, the main railway artery of the region, was flooded knee-deep, and in some places even deeper. Videos from eyewitnesses on social networks show water gushing through the turnstiles, platforms, like rivers, and trains simply stopped. It was a real water show. It only rained for a few hours, but that was enough for more than 100 millimeters of precipitation to fall, almost a month's worth. The streets around the station turned into canals, cars stalled, and passengers filmed in shock as their plans were washed away by the streams. Locals say, "We haven't seen anything like this for years." The water rose so quickly that some people got stuck right at the station, and transport in São Paulo stopped for hours. Rescuers rushed to help. Firefighters and police pumped out the water, but the elements did not give up. The authorities declared a state of emergency in the area, because this is not just a station, it is the heart of suburban transportation. Thousands of people could not get home, and the CPTM railway company is still cleaning up the aftermath. Experts blame the climate. The rainy season in Brazil is getting harsher, and São Paulo is at risk. São Paulo is no stranger to such disasters. In 2023, heavy rains already flooded the metro, and in 2016, landslides claimed dozens of lives. Santo André, with its densely built-up area and the Tamanduaté River nearby, is an ideal target for flooding. And this is only the beginning of the season. Meteorologists are predicting even more rain. A new volcanic fissure has opened near the town of Grindavik, and this is not an April Fool's joke. On Monday morning, on the Reykjanes Peninsula, just a few kilometers from Grindavik, the ground shook, and bam! A new fissure more than a kilometer long began spewing lava. This is the 11th eruption since 2021, and experts say it could be the most powerful. In an hour, the rift grew to 700 meters, and hot magma is spurting into the sky like fountains, illuminating everything around. Grindavik, a small fishing town with a population of about 4,000, is once again at the epicenter. Most people were evacuated last year, but those who remained and the staff of the Blue Lagoon Resort left the area in a hurry. The volcano is not joking. The lava is still flowing away from the city, but the crack is growing and no one knows what will happen next. People are writing on social networks. It's like the gates of hell have opened. 2 hours before the eruption, seismographs recorded a swarm of tremors, and GPS showed that magma is rushing upward. Scientists say that there is a whole network of magmatic tunnels under Grindavik, and this is only the beginning. The temperature of the lava is more than 1,200 degrees, and the smoke and gases have already forced the authorities to close the roads. Rescuers and helicopters are circling above the area, trying to understand where the fiery stream will move. The Reykjanes Peninsula slept for 800 years, but since 2021, it has woken up and is not letting up. In January 2024, lava already burned houses in Grindavik, and now a new crack threatens even more. Iceland is a volcanic bomb in the Atlantic, and every eruption is like a roulette wheel. Will the city be saved or not? We're heading to Mountain Home, Arkansas, where nature has unleashed an ice apocalypse. A massive hailstorm hit this quiet town in the Ozark Mountains, and it was epic. Subscribe if you're ready for some weather adventures, and let's go! Picture this. It's a Saturday night. The residents of Mountain Home are enjoying the spring weather, and suddenly, the sky starts shooting ice. Hail the size of tennis balls, up to 6 centimeters in diameter, rained down like a cannon. Cars on the streets turned into targets. Hoods are dented, windows are crumbled. Houses got it too. Roofs are punctured, and yards are strewn with ice blocks, as if after a meteor shower. But that's not all. The storm brought with it wind. Gusts of up to 90 kilometers per hour bent trees and tore down signs. Locals filmed how the clouds were swirling and hail was pounding everything in sight. People are already writing on social media, "It's like winter and a hurricane decided to throw a party." Electricity flickered, hundreds of homes were without power, and the streets turned into icy chaos. After the hail, a downpour poured down, flooding roads and mixing hail with water to create real ice rivers. Mountain Home in Baxter County was at the epicenter, with cars sliding and residents trying to save their yards from the flood. It was a storm that will long be remembered in the Ozark Mountains. Arkansas is a risk zone in the spring. Last year, tornadoes and hail raged in neighboring counties, and Mountain Home, surrounded by mountains and rivers, often catches such surprises. Meteorologists say this is part of a larger system that can still come back with more blows. Lightning crashed into the spire of the World Trade Center Tower in New York, the tallest building in the West Hemisphere. It was a sight to behold. Subscribe if you're ready for an electrifying story, and let's go! It's Sunday evening. New York City is getting ready for the night, and then, boom! A thunderstorm hits the city and lightning has chosen its target. the 541-meter tower of One World Trade Center. Eyewitness video has gone viral. A bright flash illuminated the spire, and a discharge with a power of millions of volts pierced the sky over lower Manhattan. This is not just a strike. It's as if nature decided to remind you who's boss here. The storm came from the south, bringing winds up to 80 kilometers per hour and rain. But the star of the show is the lightning. It struck right on the lightning rod at the top of the tower. And this is no coincidence. Since 2015, lightning has struck it hundreds of times, an average of 40 strikes a year. The building is designed as a giant lightning rod, protecting everything within a half-kilometer radius. But this time, the discharge was so powerful that eyewitnesses in Hoboken and Jersey City saw the sky tear itself apart. The World Trade Center Tower is not just a skyscraper, it is a symbol of resilience. Built after September 11th, it takes the brunt of the elements like a real titan. Meteorologists say spring thunderstorms in New York are getting worse. There are already more than 1 million views on social networks. It's like a scene from a disaster movie. A powerful sandstorm has hit the outskirts of Tobruk, a port city in eastern Libya, turning the day into a blood-red nightmare. Subscribe if you are ready for a natural thriller, and let's go! The morning in Tobruk began as usual, but by midday the sky was painted crimson. A sandstorm, which locals call the Red Beast, raised clouds of dust from the Sahara Desert. Visibility dropped to 200 meters, and winds of up to 60 kilometers per hour carried sand straight into the city. Videos from eyewitnesses on social networks are exploding the internet. The streets of Tobruk seem to have drowned in a Martian landscape. This storm is not just wind and sand. It brought chaos. Schools and offices are closed, planes have stopped, and residents are hiding in their homes. The dust is so thick that it is almost impossible to breathe without a mask. Tobruk, which is 120 kilometers from Egypt, is accustomed to harsh conditions, but this storm made everyone remember what the desert is capable of. In the port, one of the best in the Mediterranean, work has stopped. Even the equipment has been clogged by sand. Libya and the Sahara are the birthplace of such storms. In 2024, a similar red whirlwind had already covered the east of the country, and now Tobruk has come under attack. Meteorologists say, warm air and strong winds from the south have raised millions of tons of sand, and it can even reach Europe. It's like a natural special effect, only with real consequences. The morning of April 1st in Rhodes began not with coffee, but with chaos. After the floods in southeastern Greece, which are buzzing on social networks, a tornado hit the island. It was not just a breeze. A whirlwind swirled over the Aegean Sea and rushed to the shore, sweeping away everything in its path. Posts in X exploded with videos, a dark funnel, waves hitting the rocks, and tourists and locals filming how the sky turned into a scene from a disaster movie. Rhodes is the pearl of the Mediterranean, a place with perfect beaches and ancient ruins. But yesterday, there was no time for postcards. Winds of up to 120 kilometers per hour broke palm trees, tore off roofs from cafes, and sand and debris flew like shrapnel. In the area of Faliraki and Lindos, eyewitnesses say it was like the end of the world. Fortunately, no serious casualties have been reported yet, but the damage is already estimated at hundreds of thousands of euros. Tornadoes in Greece are rare, but not a myth. In the spring, warm air from the sea and cold fronts sometimes give birth to such surprises. In 2019, a whirlwind already raged in Crete, and now Rhodes has come under attack. Experts say the climate is changing, and such storms may become more frequent. After recent floods in the region, this tornado is like a cherry on the cake of weather chaos. Now the elements have died down in Rhodes, but the island is still recovering. We are immersed in a fiery night in Hawaii. On April 1st, the Kilauea volcano put on a real show. Lava spurts, and the darkness over the volcano's national park glows red. Night on Kilauea is not a time for sleep. Yesterday, March 31st, at about 6 in the evening Hawaiian time, the northern crater Halemaumau came to life. Geologists from the USGS recorded how the lava began to splash out with furious force, continuous splashes and fountains. By 7:30 in the evening, the seismic rumble had intensified, the ground was shaking, and the hot magma was lighting up the night as if someone had turned on a giant spotlight. These aren't just flashes. This is a new round of eruption that has been going on since December 1924. By 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the tremors, these underground vibrations, had shot up, and by 5:20 in the evening, lava was already bursting out. The temperature? Over 1,200 degrees. Volcanologists say activity is increasing, and Kilauea, one of the most restless volcanoes in the world, is proving its title again. The night turns Kilauea into a spectacle from another world. Imagine a black sky, and below it, rivers of fire, smoke illuminated by the moon, and the smell of sulfur in the air. This is the place where, according to legend, Pele, the Hawaiian goddess of volcanoes, lives. And on this night, she clearly decided to throw a party. For now, everything is limited to the caldera, but tourists are already flocking to the park to see it with your own eyes. Kilauea hasn't slept since 2021. Eruptions follow one after another. In March 2025, lava fountains were gushing up to 180 meters. That's like a 60-story building. And now, nighttime activity is only fueling interest. Hawaii is a volcanic hotspot, and Kilauea is its star. Who knows what it will do next? A night on Kilauea is a mix of beauty and power. If you enjoyed this fiery trip, like it and let us know in the comments if you'd like to see it in real life. Imagine we are in the epicenter of a geological thriller. On March 28, 2025, a powerful earthquake in Myanmar did more than just shake the country. It tore the earth apart for hundreds of kilometers, leaving a giant surface fault. On Friday, Myanmar shook from a tremor measuring 7 and 7 points on the Richter scale, the strongest in the last 100 years. The epicenter struck near Mandalay, the second largest city in the country. And here's what's shocking. The fault that opened after that stretches for hundreds of kilometers along the Sagaing Fault, a tectonic boundary where the Earth's plates literally tear each other apart. Eyewitnesses write on social networks, the Earth split like in an apocalypse movie. This fault is not just a crack. It runs through cities, villages, and even the Irrawaddy River, where a kilometer-long bridge collapsed. In Mandalay, temples and homes were reduced to rubble, and in Bangkok, 1,300 kilometers from the epicenter, a skyscraper collapsed like a house of cards. The death toll has already surpassed 3,700, and it's not over yet. Geologists say such a fault is like a scar on the body of the Earth, and it can grow with each new shock. The Sagaing Fault is a monster 1,400 kilometers long, and it has woken up. The rate of plate displacement here is up to 49 millimeters per year, and on March 28th it showed what it is capable of. The first shock was followed by 169 aftershocks, the most powerful of which were 6 and 7 points. Experts warn this fault can stretch from the Andaman Sea to northern Myanmar, and its activity has not yet ended. It is as if the Earth is breathing fire and cracks. Myanmar is experiencing a catastrophe, but this fault is a reminder that we live on a living planet. In Magnolia Field, Texas, a powerful hailstorm hit the city, causing significant destruction and leaving local residents in shock. According to local media reports, the hail reached the size of up to 5 centimeters in diameter, which is comparable to the size of a tennis ball. Such large hailstones can penetrate roofs, break car windows, and cause serious damage to agricultural land. Forecasters warned of the possibility of severe storms in the region. According to the National Weather Service, in early April, there was an increased risk of tornadoes and large hail in North Texas. Fortunately, there were no reports of casualties, but property damage was significant. Local authorities urge residents to be especially careful during the period of spring storms and take precautions in advance. Experts remind that spring in Texas is often accompanied by sudden changes in the weather, including severe thunderstorms, hail, and even tornadoes. Residents are advised to regularly monitor weather forecasts and have an emergency plan. According to forecasters, the weather conditions are expected to improve in the coming days in the region, but the possibility of new storms remains. Residents are advised to remain vigilant and monitor forecast updates. In Primorsky Krai, Russia, where spring began with a real show, an Amur tiger came right up to a residential building in the suburb of Partizansk and staged a photo shoot as if enjoying the sun. Look, morning in the suburb of Partizansk, which is 170 kilometers from Vladivostok, and suddenly he strides out of the taiga, the king of the far eastern forests. This handsome man, the Amur tiger, did not just wander up to people, but literally posed. He stood by the fence, looked around like a model on the catwalk, and let the locals shoot a bunch of videos. Social networks are already buzzing. It was as if he knew that spring had come and decided to show off. Partizansk is surrounded by the Sikhote-Alin Mountains, where about 500 Amur tigers live. In the spring, when the snow melts and the prey, deer and wild boars, becomes more active, tigers sometimes come closer to people. This guest seems to have decided to check on his neighbors. Locals say he walked along the street, sniffed the trash can, and went back into the forest, leaving only footprints and delight. The Amur tiger is a rare animal, and Primorye is its main fortress. In recent years, their population has been growing thanks to protection, but such visits are still rare. In February 2025, tigers were already scaring villages in the Khabarovsk region, and now Partizansk has been captured on camera. Experts joke, spring is calling, and tigers want a holiday too. This tiger gave Partizansk a story worth 1 million views. If you like this spring surprise, like it and write in the comments what you would do if you met a tiger near your house.